Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, and thank you for being here for another video in association with the 90 Minutes Football Network. Today, we have a special treat for the eyes and ears whilst we preview this Sunday's must-win cup clash encounter against Burnley. And to help me with this one, I'm joined by the newest member of the Gallowgateshots YouTube team. He is the Sultan of Speed Art. He is the man with the divine designs. It is Jack Body, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing, brother?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm sweaty. Just been running. You can probably see, but it's all right. It's all good. It's Friday. You're out of sweat on a Friday. We're going to preview this Sunday's game against Burnley. Before we do that, before we get into that nitty-gritty business, let's just hint a little bit on Sunday's game. Just briefly. Newcastle 2, Spurs 2. An improvement, a point, but in the end, was it an opportunity missed rather than an all-round success?
It's a hard one because I think when I spoke to my mates who aren't Newcastle fans, we've got a little group chat going and it's just a mix of basically Man United and Arsenal fans. They tend to get a bit sick of hearing the negativity of a Newcastle United fan, but I guess they don't really understand as much. Yeah. They all were like, what a great point for you. And my first reaction was, it's not a great point. And to me, that's only not a great point because when I started watching the Aston Villa Fulham match, we dropped into that bottom three. It might have been for 20 minutes, but I just had it in my head. I was just like, it's coming. Like, a point is not good enough. It had to have been a win, regardless.
It was strange. Given the goal difference in it, it's the fact that, you know, the goal difference is so different that really a point means nothing. They could still win, get on the same points as us, and we're down, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing though, like Fulham are playing tonight, I believe. I didn't even notice that until I checked my phone and somebody tweeted out, well, we could be in the bottom three again. So it just shows that, like, yeah, it's great accumulating a point. Never mind accumulating points. It just shows that at the minute it's just a point sadly not good enough. If this was mid-season, say we were sat November time, December time, and we were picking up a point at home against Spurs, I'm sure we'd be absolutely thrilled. And thrilled with the performance as well. It was one of our better performances. But the sad part of it is it's not we're past the point of fantastic performances and playing well. We just need 3 points, and that's going to be the main problem until we start winning games, which is was it Southampton the last game that we won? Yeah,
I think so.
It feels like a lifetime ago already.
It does, yeah. It does.
Probably only a month ago.
I mean, the performance, like people have said, it's a good performance. You know, we had a lot more shots than we have usually, which is a great thing. And if we can continue that on, then fair enough. But we still look ropey at the back. And with, you know, we will get into the squad soon, but I'll mention it now. Jamal Lascelles looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it goes from bad to worse, then gets worse at Newcastle. So,
he's had a pretty bad injury record for us. I can't remember a season. I think maybe that last season under Rafa. I'll say his name. That last season under Rafa, I think he pretty much played near enough every single game. Championship season, I'm pretty sure he played again.
I still think he missed games here and there, though. I think you're right. Yeah. I think he misses games here and there. And, I mean, he'll be a miss, but I mean, thankfully, Clark was on the bench last game. Bruce has said Fernandez is okay, but hasn't played football in a long time. So we will see. But we do have players coming back into the fold, players that, you know, we made a post about it being coming back in from the cold, in the likes of Matt Ritchie and Jacob Murphy. I mean, Jacob Murphy's been in and out the side. He's made cameos here and there, but we haven't seen much from Matt Ritchie. And boy, did he have an effect. We spoke about this on Extra Time the other day, but just touch on it a little bit, Jack. What did you think about his performance and the effect he had on that game?
He just summed up everything that is Matt Ritchie. I think when he leaves the club, I mean, looking back, he could have left the club in January, and it could be a massive boost for us that he never actually went. I mean, if anything, he's the silent captain, but is not so silent. Which is quite ironic. Bearing in mind a lot of
screaming silence with Matt Ritchie.
Like a bad dream with Matt Ritchie. You just like you see it, but it's no noise. It's coming out.
Fever dream. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can tell there was there was certainly the fight was there, the backbone was back in the team, and I hope this is just a sign of that Bruce has sort of resolved any problems that he's had off the pitch. But to be honest, I think they could have a problem with each other until the rest of the season. But I think what you get with Matt Ritchie is he's that professional British player. He will give everything for the shirt, and when he come to the club, instantly the fans are like, he's exactly what we need. And I think Jamal Lascelles, I watched a podcast once talking about Matt Ritchie when he first come into the club, and this was that summer in the Championship, and he did say, it was like when Matt Ritchie come through the door, it was like he turned around and he said, "You are exactly what we needed here." After the Daryl Yam match, Wijnaldum give us all, I guess, but you here and there, but your mercenaries, your Moussa Sissoko's, pretty much anybody that scored on that last day against Spurs was the people that we didn't need at the club, and we needed a clear out, and Matt Ritchie was that player that come in, and I think he set the tone, especially for that Championship season. I think you do need that English backbone, and especially in a relegation dogfight, you definitely need that English backbone. I know he's not scoring as many goals as he was previously, but then again, he hasn't played as many games. I know he did suffer that injury away to Spurs, and maybe he would have had a better season if he didn't pick up that knock. But it just seems like that knock set him out of the team, and now he's shown what his worth is to the club. Realistically, even next season, I wouldn't want to see him go. If we do go down, he's, regardless of age, he's exactly what we need.
Yeah, definitely. If we go down, we don't know what the state of play is going to be next season. The likelihood is, without sounding super negative, we will be in the Championship. But if we're not, we spoke about this the other day. If he goes on to pastures new, then fair play to get more game time. I will miss him. A lot of people have always said he's not got the quality, blah blah blah. But right now, someone said it on Twitter, you don't need quality right now. You need fighters. You can smatter it, sprinkle it with quality when we're getting the Wilsons back and the Anse Maximans and the Almirons. But if you don't have that fight to drive them forward and give them a boot up the ass when they're not working hard, then you're off to a losing start anyway, in my opinion.
I think he does sort of fall into that category of the Jonas Gutierrez, even Peter Lovenkrands, that player that can leave the club and will always leave with his head held high. And then if he ever wanted to come back, Ryan Taylor's a fine example. Yeah. They'll always be welcome back. And I think Matt Ritchie is always going to have a place in the heart of fans, and whether he stays or whether he goes. But yeah, that passion back on the weekend was perfect. And I would quite like to see Matt Ritchie back in the starting lineup again. Yeah, pretty much for this last 9 games.
Has to start. Well, won't talk about particular players for too long, but let's talk about a man who rarely gets talked about. He doesn't really split opinion much. He says, with depressed sarcasm in his voice, Joe Linton got a goal. Mr. Joe Ellington, the goal machine, managed to score a goal. And it was very nice. It was a nice moment. And it was good to see the smile on his face. Thought it was weird he went near post. Don't know why Lloris didn't dive. But he scored anyway. But then, his moment in the sun didn't last very long. And after that, it sounds so harsh, and this is just my opinion, just one man's opinion, that after that 2-1 deficit was brought upon us, he went back to being Joe Linton. He went back to being frustrating, snatching at chances, or even not trying to take chances. The one that stood out for me was when Gale flicked the ball on, and it got given as offside. But if he had tapped it in, it would have been a goal. And he was sort of just...
Was it when he chested it down, was it? Or...
I think he actually just stretched for it, but someone put a video on Twitter, and he's just stood there like doing nothing. He's not on his toes. And then when the ball finally comes over, he's at a stretch. And if he'd have just been a bit more awake, he'd have tapped it in and got a goal. And I think
it might have been before that or just after. The ball comes in from, I believe, Kraft. And he brings it down like from behind the goal. If you watch the angle as well, he brings the ball down, chests it down perfectly. All he had to do was keep it under control. He even had time because the Spurs players were turning around and they were like, "Oh God, thank you." They probably turned around with a sigh of relief. Thank God, Joe Linton's got the ball. But he probably could have ended up with a hat-trick, and it was very similar to the performance away at Palace. He seemed to have plenty of shots and getting into positions, but he just doesn't put the ball in the back of the net.
But the ball is always under his feet. It always seems. I can't remember the last time I saw. I think that's the hardest I've seen Joe Linton hit a ball when he scored there with his side foot. And I've seen him hit a ball ever. Like, because he doesn't put his laces through one.
Morecambe away was probably the only time.
Sorry, that he did score a weldy there. He did score a pretty decent goal. But in the Premier League, I'm just saying, sometimes he has the chance to shoot, he doesn't shoot, and then when he does shoot,
he's not scoring that in the Premier League.
No,
he's not going to have that space.
But Jack, are we being harsh on him? Are we? Do you feel like he might? Kick on from this? Do you reckon he's going to be on the team sheet because of that goal? Bruce, I can't drop Joe. I can't drop Joe.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel that in normal circumstances, yes, you'd give him another chance, but I'm pretty certain that we're not going to get the same performance next weekend. Mm-hmm. And with St. Maximin and Wilson both coming in, unfortunately, you got to play your better players. And when you look at the reverse fixture against Burnley, the two people that absolutely ripped them apart were St. Maximin and Callum Wilson. Mm-hmm. And I'd quite like to see us play with that sort of. I think it was the game that probably put the idea of St. Maximin behind the striker in the middle, can he go left, can he go right, into Bruce's mind. And it worked against Burnley, and it clearly doesn't work against most other teams in the Premier League. So I'd like to see us stick to that 5-3-2 formation. Swap out Gale, swap out Joe Linton, and go with St. Maximin and Wilson. But at the same time, are they going to be fit to be starting? So
yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I'd like to think St. Maximin will be. He's got another week in his legs, and he looked bright when he came on. Yeah. He might not have too much stamina, if you want to use that word, but I mean, everyone's going to be clambering for Wilson to be playing. I personally think he'll be on the bench. But if he's fit enough to play, you got to play him because he's the only one who's a lethal finisher. But if you don't play Wilson, we have to play a striker, which Steve Bruce decided to do on Sunday, to his credit, or whatever. A gold star for you, Steve. Or should I say apple pie after today's comments?
What was that all about?
Oh, mate, we won't get into that. But Andy Carroll apparently hasn't trained for 2.5 weeks. But Dwight Gale started on Sunday. I personally, again, I may be wrong, he did miss a very good chance, and the follow-up chance made Lloris look a bit better than I thought the save actually was. But I think playing with a striker in that formation, if you're going to have the mentality that they did, it makes the world of difference to just have a centre-forward who knows how to be a centre-forward, whether Gale touched the ball that much or not. People were sort of playing around him, not in a target man sense, but he was the sort of focal point, and people could make runs around him. And you saw with that ball in the box, header at the back post and all that stuff. So I think if Wilson's not fit, Gale surely still has to start, Jack.
I think from a game, a tactical side of it is probably you stick with the same starting 11 minus Emil Kraft. Save Wilson and St. Maximin until you really need them. Say it's 0-0 in the 60th minute, you bring them both on and instantly you change formation to 4-3-3. You move Miggy higher up and you move everything around that way. Because I would quite like to see us go from 5-3-2 if we. Well, I feel it was more of a 3-4-3. That's right.
Yes, yeah.
3-4-3. I feel like we played that formation because you're always seeing both wing backs actually playing as wingers. Where in the past it's sort of flat back five, left back, right back, three centre backs.
Agree, yeah.
If we can take to Burnley, because it is an away game and we haven't been great off the top of my head away from home, I think it does give a bit of solidity to our defence. So I would quite like to see that formation come back in with. If Lascelles is out and Fernandez and Clark are fit, I'd like to see them both go into the back three with Dummett, which I think would actually be probably one of our strongest.
That's very solid, isn't it? It's not one that's going to build moves. It's not a nice. It's not like a Lejeune's going to be there or a Shah.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a Shah either side. Yeah,
it screams last chance tackle block to me, like throwing yourself at the ball and stuff. So. I mean, up against the likes of Chris Wood. I mean, I know Ashley Barnes isn't available. Probably won't be available. But they're a big physical side, so you need 3 physical centre-halves. But I have a feeling that he won't throw in someone like Clark. It'll either be one or the other, probably Clark, because Fernandez hasn't been playing, and he will persist with our best buddy, Emil Kraft, at centre-half, personally. And, I don't even have to ask you a question, Jack. I can see by your face. And, I said some harsh words about Emil Kraft the other night on Extra Time. I meant most of them. But, I mean, I wouldn't actually fire him into the sun if I had the chance. I would just, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm just saying I would exile him in a way that just means he wouldn't put a black and white shirt on again. But anyway, we'll move on from Emil Kraft because I don't want to say anything else.
I do want to just point out with the centre-backs, I do think them 3 centre-backs of Clark, Fernandez and Dummett are perfect for Burnley because Burnley just crosses into the box. All it is
perfect for us against Burnley. You mean
perfect for us to combat Burnley's style of play because it's usually just 4-4-2. Get the ball into the box at any chance. And between Dummett, Fernandez and Clark, you know the ball's getting headed away. I feel like with Kraft, you've seen the panic. Whenever he had a hold of the ball, it was he panics too much. He never wants to get his head on the ball. He'll hoof it every now and again, but there's just nothing about him that screams centre-back to play him in that position. I understand Bruce has probably thought right centre-back, right foot. But in this case, you need somebody who's going to be tall. I feel like is Fernandez, Clark both like 6'2" at least, something like that.
Fernandez is a big boy. He's a big boy.
Yeah. So when you got Chris Wood up there, I feel like especially on set plays, they're going to come in handy, and that's where your Almirons, your St. Maximin, and Wilson are probably going to be better for the counter attack if we want to play that counter attack in football.
Yeah. Well, Burnley. Not that I have much confidence in us getting all 3 points on Sunday, but Burnley are on 33 points. If we win this, we go to 32, a point behind them. We go 2 points above Brighton. If they fail to beat, I can't remember who they have now, but I think it's Everton. If they fail to beat Everton,
is that Everton away or is that Everton?
Everton away, I think. Yes, great. I might be wrong, but either way, it's a tough game. It's a tough game.
Yeah, Everton's home record's terrible. That's the only thing.
But it just shows you how much of an important game this is. But if we win, everyone's been telling us it's against Newcastle and Fulham. It's Newcastle and Fulham. But if we win, failing as well, Fulham don't get all 3 points tonight. Does that definitely drags Brighton in? But do you think it drags Burnley in as well?
It'll drag them in. Mathematically, it will drag them in. But I think what it really does is that'll, as a Fulham player or Fulham as a team, they will look at that and think, that's it. They all seem too far away. It's not like we were giving them a big target on our back saying, come and get us. If it all depends on tonight's game of how Fulham play. I mean, people could be watching this thinking what
people could be watching this.
We're already in the bottom.
We're already in the bottom 3.
Yeah. So it's confusing. Hopefully Wolves if Wolves pull through, they get the win and we get a win. I don't say it, Jack. I won't jinx it.
I mean, if a Wolves even going to... This isn't going to be a Wolves preview podcast, but Jesus, are Wolves even going to get anything tonight? Because they've been toilet most of the times I've watched them. I mean, they got, and 2 goals late against West Ham, maybe showed a bit better themselves in the second half, but I'm not confident.
They're not the Raul Jimenez. I think they've lost Raul Jimenez and Rui Patricio, I believe.
Johnny as well. I don't know if he's been playing now, but they lost him for a lot of the games, and that's been felt. But I know that by speaking to a couple of Wolves fans, and he's an important player for them. And they've just got like strikers out of form, like young Fabio Silva. He's not doing much, but he wasn't meant to be playing all the time.
Jose Williams not really come and had an impact. Yeah, it's a hard one. I do think this is going to be a win for Fulham.
We are favourites as well.
But I do think it could also work as a good incentive for us. Maybe it's what the players need. I do think the players need to see themselves sat in the bottom 3 with a chance to escape it come the weekend, with a game in hand. They maybe what they do need is just that extra reality check. They just need to open up their phones at the end of the game. And see Newcastle United in that bottom 3, because I think maybe they're just looking at it being like, oh, every time we sort of flirt with the idea, we always seem to get away from it. And that's not because of how they're playing. That is because of how Fulham are playing and Fulham's results. And sadly, at the minute, everything still boils down to Fulham.
Yeah, massively.
I do think, though, that there's no excuses to not get a win against Burnley, regardless of what the Fulham result is tonight.
Well, I think there's no excuse to not... And again, we touched on this an extra time. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. I make a right fool of myself. I get drunk and say a lot of swear words. But anyway, I did say that, it felt like Brighton, without sounding too nasty towards the players, was them just saying, we don't want to play for this guy anymore. And then when they realised, shit, they're not going to get rid of him,
they
thought, right, okay, we're going to have to play a certain way and just go for it. I'm not saying Bruce has no control over the team, but I'm just saying that he has no control how the players feel. He might be told to be this big man manager, but I feel like he's lost most of them. They've had a go at Spurs, and now I feel like if we turn in a bad performance on Sunday, it's not just Bruce's fault. It's the players. They need to take a look at themselves, because this, like you said, a draw's not good enough on Sunday. We need to win that game, or at least show we try to win that game, because after that, it's for the top 6, and things are looking bleak, especially given if tonight's result for Fulham it goes their way.
I think you hit the nail on the head with it there, mate. I do think it was maybe the last 3 games under Bruce, which would have been excluding the Spurs game. I can't even remember them. They're that poor. But I think the way that we played, especially against Brighton. Sorry, I'm surprised I even forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think the Brighton performance was the players sort of signalling to the board, if we even have one, is he needs to go. We're not playing for him. And I think you're completely right. I think the players. Well, there was a lot of moles coming out saying we can't.
What's one of them? There's no such thing as them.
Yeah. But a lot of the players apparently were saying we can't believe he's still here. I'm sure Bruce woke up that morning and be like, I can't believe my luck. Like it's unbelievable. But I think you are right. I think the players have now just said, look, he's not going. Whoever's in that dugout, whether it's Graham Jones or whether it's Bruce, it's down to us now. It's down to fighting for every single point. I don't want to see us go to Liverpool and play Man City and just roll over, have our tummies tickled. If they're going to slaughter us 5-0, then I want to see us giving it a go. Even in
our goal difference is already shit.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm sorry.
It's not going to get any worse, is it?
I haven't looked at it, right? I haven't looked at it. And do you know what? I'm going to do it first. I'm going to do a first on this, and I'm going to Google the Premier League table so I can see what our goal difference is.
From the top
minus 20.
Minus 20, and Fulham's is minus 17, I believe.
Actually, that's not as bad as I thought it was. I thought it was like 6 or 7. Bad. I thought it was about 6 or 7. So now I'm like, oh, don't go and get smashed.
I think it was prior to the Aston Villa game, before Villa knocked a few past them. But still, like, we could easily go into one of them games against Man City and get absolutely rolled over, and it doesn't matter. I want to see us go and give our all, especially if we're at home to Man City. We got a draw last season. The players have got to realise that. I feel like this season we haven't had a go up in the top teams. We haven't had it. Normally we get like one win. Like last season, we had like the 1-0 against Man United at home. We had the 1-0 away at Spurs.
Yeah, I think that was it.
The 2-2 against Man City.
2-2 against City. Yeah,
that's off the top.
I think what we got against Chelsea.
No, we got.
I'm usually awesome at recalling.
No, we beat Chelsea 1-0. Isaac Hayden last minute goal.
Yeah, there we go. So someone was probably screaming at this podcast right now.
Yeah, Hayden. But so, and if people haven't seen Isaac Hayden's new Instagram, go check it out. He's got a nice new little graphic.
It's quite good. It's quite good. Yes.
Credit to who designed that.
Yes, big credit to him. As I called him, the Sultan of speed art. We got a draw off against Liverpool, but again, that was just a poor Liverpool side not being able to break us down.
We're not getting wins or anything. There's nothing there. I don't know if it's the fans that play a part in those games, and I'm sure it does have some sort of effect, because I'm pretty sure in the last 9 games of last season when we played the big teams, I don't think we pulled anything out the bag. But I'm pretty sure after the first 3 games we were safe, and they were pretty much like job done. But yeah, this season, like at least one game every season, we'll get a win against one of the top 6. But this season, it's just been nothing. Just I know that, like you said, the draw against Liverpool, the draw against the win. Oh wait, we did win against Spurs, but like it's just been dull. That win against Spurs doesn't feel like a win. You don't look back at it and think, oh yeah, we beat Spurs.
What this season? This season, not 1-1. It felt like a win because we got a penalty in the last minute. Yeah,
we should have lost it. We should have lost it
comfortably.
Yeah, it's hard to look at them games and think, oh god, like we deserve that, because half the time we don't. No. I think
that was the problem. We're gonna deep dive here, so we won't go on too long. But you're right, that is the problem, because that was after the bright spots of last season when the fans were in the ground. There was a couple of points where you were like, most of us were like, Bruce isn't the man for this job. He's riding his luck. However, we are enjoying the luck because we're getting results. However, we're just saying we're not going to be able to keep this going. Well, Newcastle fans are being silly. What do they want? What do they want? It's like, we're just telling you, we might be getting results, but something is happening. We're telling you, we're really just, he's got a 4-leaf clover in his ass pocket and it's going to run out soon. And then we started this season how we've started it. And then the good result, a little run of form. But like you said, you come up against the top sides. And again, this is not me saying Newcastle need to compete with the top sides. It's just saying, let me think that maybe we might beat one. We went up against Spurs, like you said, we drew with Spurs, but bloody hell, like we were so lucky, you know, like Carl Dallow had the game of his life. We got a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty in the last minute. We draw with Liverpool 0-0, all them things. And, you know, but then all of a sudden the losses stack up. And like we say, we're sat where we are now with a worse goal difference than we've had in a while. And, you know, we're in the conundrum we are. So it doesn't fill you with hope for the next 4 games. However, you know, the goal difference isn't as bad as I thought it was, so we're staying up. Doesn't matter. I don't want to end that. We're not staying up. We are staying up. It doesn't matter.
We've just got to hope for the best and expect the worst, and then at the end of the season, we're not sat there thinking, "God, I didn't see that coming."
Yeah. We'll get our predictions now, and we'll wrap this thing up. But before we do you know who Steve Gutenberg is?
I don't.
You don't know Steve Gutenberg is? I knew you wouldn't know that because as much as we look the same, because we both look really youthful. He was in all the Police Academy films. He was in 3 Men and a Little Baby and a Lady. He's a very prominent 80s actor, right? And he was on Mark Lawrenson's Predictor interview today on the BBC, and they asked him about Burnley versus Newcastle, and his exact quote was, "I've never had a night out in Burnley, but I had a great time when I went to Newcastle. I'm going to go with them to win 2-0. Yo, come on, Steve Gutenberg.
If that was how the Premier League would work, of people who's had a good night out in Newcastle, we'd be a lot higher up in the league.
Champions of the world.
Yeah, great apple pies.
But if you're going to take one thing away from me, look up the IMDb of Steve Gutenberg. Police Academy. You'll know me. You'll be one of those guys. You'll be like, oh, that guy, that geezer.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
Yeah. But predictions, Jack. I'm just gonna have to put it on you, man. What do you think?
I believe it was my prediction for extra time was 2-1, but it was 2-0 as long as everybody signed up to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel as a member. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say Callum Wilson brace.
Oh, what is he starting? Or is he going to come off the bench and do some bits?
I think he's starting. I think he'll swap out. I think Gale will be dropped for Wilson, and I think there'll probably be a little rejig at centre backs just with the injury to Lascelles. It's pretty much definitely going to happen. But yeah, I'm thinking 2-1 is probably a more than likely. It was the same result in the reverse fixture, so it was
3-1 in the reverse.
Was it 3-1?
Yeah,
oh yeah, St. Maximin, and it was Callum Wilson.
Penalties in a tap-in eye.
Yeah, so I think the players have got to look at that last game and just think we've got a chance here, and this is our chance to create our own look for once. So
I pray to God you're right. I pray to God that they're set up similar to what they did against Spurs, but if they've got the more quality to start, like I say, Maximin or Wilson, they start them. No messing about. I said 1-1 on extra time. That's genuinely my pessimistic side coming out and just thinking we'll take the lead and they'll equalise or vice versa. Well, it's only one or the other, isn't it?
Let's be honest. Steve Bruce's tactics, by the look of it, is if we draw every single game from now until the end of the season, our chances of staying up is a lot higher than if I win 2 out of.
To be fair, he is thinking that, isn't he? He is thinking like, that's why he was saying the other day, he was like, well, 5 games, 4 points. You keep going like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what he means by accumulation of points. It's just get a point every week, but that doesn't fill you with any hope because if a win can be the difference between the next game and staying up, because if you aim for a draw every single game, week in, week out, what that'll mean is that on the last day of the season against Fulham will be a decider because you're not distancing yourself. You're constantly lying on that 2-game cushion, and all it takes is Fulham to beat Wolves tonight, and all of a sudden they've got goes out the window.
They've got a miles better running than us. They've got a miles better running. Anyway, I mean, my prediction's 1-1. But if I'm going to be positive, I'm going to say 2-1 like you. I think Alan St. Maximin's going to score. I'm just going to score the first one. I think it's going to be very similar to the goal he scored against Man United, like a little scramble and then it falls from and he volleys it in the top corner. But that's the most optimistic I've been in months.
I think Burnley's the sort of team St. Maximin prefers playing.
Well, he did he cut in loads, didn't he? Showed him on the right foot and he put it in the bottom corner. I'd love to see him do something like that. I'd love to see it. But again, I don't care who scores as long as we win. But I just have this feeling that it's going to be sad.
Well, I think we'll know in the first 10 minutes as usual what the result's going to be.
Good point. Even if, you know what the result's going to be. It's so painfully obvious. It was like the Brighton game, and we won't tread over.
Was the Brighton game when I think it was a different game. I think that was the West Brom game I'm thinking of when Dummett fell over. First 5 minutes, he went to kick the ball, fell over, the ball went out. As soon as I seen that, I was like, this is what we're going to be witnessing. And for the rest of the game, that was it. Like 0-0 against West Brom. And I think the players even said it. They were like, oh, every ball we kicked went out of play. It's like, well, if the players are seeing it, then it must get into their heads as well that if they're going to perform well, it starts well. And I think you sort of seen that against Spurs as well. We looked the better team, and then we scored first. Well,
Steve Gutenberg's Mighty Mags march on. That's what's going to happen. We're going to be fine. I'm just ending it stupidly positively because otherwise I'm going to ruin my weekend before it's even started. Jack, thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers for having me.
Thank you for your amazing designs. Thank you for your speed art videos, which you guys could get more of, and other content like that if you signed up the channel as a member.
I'll give the exclusive to next week's video. It is a Netflix style movie poster of Shola Amiobi in the hit movie that will never come out, The Macam Slayer.
Sign me up. Sign me up twice.
Keep an eye out on either my page and Gallowgateshots Twitter page, and I'll post a little preview there for people to have a look before the video goes out.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video. Please share the video. And always subscribe to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and become a member as well.
See
you later.
See you later.